Hi, you're welcome to my YouTube channel where I share my experiences. You remember the last time I was talking about my experience in the police cell. So I'll continue, and I did promise that I will now talk about the prison experience. The first time, because I was always in and out. It's not a one-time thing, but this is my first experience. So in the court, they said they should go and remind us in the awaiting trial cell. So this was my first experience. Before I knew it from the court, they just marched us out. There was this big truck, they call it Black Maria for prisoners. And they marched us in, and I entered. And I saw some faces inside that truck. I mean, they were really scary. And one of them called out from the small hole on the wall of the truck, called out to somebody to help him buy a bottle of stout, an alcoholic drink. And so they bought it and passed it to him through the cell, through the hole. And this guy took off his trousers and he squatted, and he was spitting on the bottle and rubbing the bottle with the spittle until the whole bottle was wet with spittle. And in his squatting position, before my very eyes, this guy pushed this thing straight into his asshole. Excuse my language, his anus, and the thing went inside. What was that? I mean, I said, wow, I am among destroyers. And you know what he was trying to do? To smuggle that drink into the cell. And I mean, I just started crying. I started weeping. I started weeping that, wow, what have I gotten myself into? But you see, I was already hooked. So they drove us straight to the prison. The gates opened. They drove the vehicle in. They told us to start jumping down and squat one after the other. We squatted. And then they gave us our evening meal that day. A handful of what we call gari, a sort of food here, a handful. They said that's what we eat. And what was the reason? In case you swallowed anything, that would push it out. And then they marched us to our cell. Wow. When I got into the cell again, it was another dirty slap and a lot of beating. But I was shocked to find out that there was no lavatory. What was the lavatory there? The toilet. It was a hole and a bucket under it. So every morning, somebody in the cell has been assigned to carry the bucket of feces and go and throw it away. On the floor were cockroaches and lice and bed bugs. My, oh my. I talked about my life and said, is this where I'm going to be? But it took just 2 weeks. 2 weeks after, I was built out of that place. But what happened was that same night, after they treated us like slaves or whatever, the following night, I overthrew the government in the cell. Because right there in the cell, we have people that have been assigned and called president, elected as president, chief of staff, people that have been elected as judges and whatever. So I fought. I gave them a fight as they were fighting me. About 27 people as we were fighting. I ran into the toilet and I carried the bucket of feces and sprayed the whole cell. And they called out, and the warders came and they took me out of that single cell and they took me to a one-man cell. Then they later brought me back. And by the time I came back, I gave them another fight. But this time, I overthrew the president because I threw him out of the bed that he was sitting on during the fight, and I sat on the bed, and they said the government has been overthrown. So I became the new president of the cell. It was a wow experience. And from then on, this thing just got into my mind that I can do anything, anytime, anywhere. In other words, I decided that I should be an outlaw. And this was how I lived for so long a time before my experience of change. So what am I saying? Again, I want to say, how did I find myself in prison? If not for drugs. If not for drugs. Drugs messed me up. Affected everything about my mind and whatever. And that's why I keep telling people, as a guy in drug treatment, that drugs affect the part of the brain that is responsible for decision making. That is the frontal cortex. And because of drugs, I found myself in prison. And that was just the beginning. Over and over, I was back in prison. Talk more about my experiences. Till we meet again, don't forget to keep subscribing to my channel and my life experiences. And in case you are in drugs, you've been trying to get out of drugs, you don't know how, you've tried everything, I think I can help you. You can always contact me with the numbers on the screen. I'm into drug treatment. I've done that for about 10 years or so. I've helped people get out of drugs. I have the experience. I've been through it, and I'm out of it. I can actually help you. Thank you. Keep watching and keep following.